we've been following this for a while. Sony is building two SoCs, with one being a local play handheld. So the other one is kind of the same deal. We have a 2023 presentation from AMD to Sony. This one is codenamed Canis. So this would be the PS6 handheld. This would be on a monolithic chip on a 3 nanometer die. And Moore's Law claims they were able to verify this from modern documents. So kind of the same thing. It's compatible with PS5 and PS4 software. They said the handheld itself, however, is going to support a micro SD slot, M.2 slot. It's going to have haptics, dual microphones, and a touchscreen, and a USB-C port, which would have a video out feature. This device would have a 15-watt TDP, so pretty modest compared to the other bulky, 30-watt handhelds. 12 to 20 RDNA5 compute units, 1.6 to 2 gigahertz. Memory is LPDDR5X, 7500 or faster, and the expected performance would be 0.5 of a standard PlayStation 5. And again, ray tracing is expected to be higher than actually even the standard console. So ray tracing would see a leap above the standard console. But as far as like general rasterization, 0.5 of a PlayStation 5. And the timing is also around the same as well. So manufacturing mid-2027, then launching fall or early 2028. Now, the thing is, John, we have a PS5 beta firmware going on right now. The feature is not turned on, but the low power mode, the low power mode that we were talking about, which granted Sony does have very much a real public net zero goal by fiscal year 2040. However, the low power mode, when this thing gets turned on and we can all start testing this shit, if this shit shows that it's like half the console's power, I mean, I don't know how that, like, does that not telegraph what the company's doing?
You got to test that, Ryan. You got to test the frame rate on some games. You got to go crazy.
If it cuts the power in half and this thing is expected to be 0.5 of a standard console, I mean, what does that tell you? If they want this thing
one of those things that measures wattage, don't you?
I could buy one beforehand, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll figure it out somebody will do it. Somebody will beat me to it, but we'll find out,
Yeah, but we want to watch you do it. We want to
thank you, John.
The frame rate testing and the wattage. You could have that up while you're playing the game to see, and then just compare it like in a separate window right next to you while you're playing. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will take a look at it. That's for sure. But I mean, that's the handheld rumor. How does that shape up for you, John? How does that sound?
It's getting more real.
Yeah.
This is which is great. I do think we need Sony back in the handheld scene. I think we need. So I know we have all these PC handhelds that are showing up, but let's face it, there's been a reserved seat for Sony for how long now? Like, we've just been waiting, hoping that it would pull them back in. Yeah, I mean, come on, look. How many of these companies can say we made a handheld that sold 80 million plus systems?
Well, so for context, these portable PCs, everyone would have you think they've sold like 50 million units. Lifetime, they're at like what, 5-6 million? And that's
the
between
Switch 2 has already outsold it.
Yeah, like
the
between all of them,
yes.
Like between ROG, Steam, like Steam Deck's got the most. Steam Deck's at like 4-something million, I think, and then the other 2 million are everybody else. So the market is actually just Nintendo right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just them. I mean, Sony's an established platform holder. Now they're walking into an environment where if it's kind of like the Deck or a Switch where you log in and your stuff just works, we don't have to worry about devs porting their games to PS Vita properly using a quirky back touch thing. No, this thing just works. And I think it's propped up very well to probably sell much better than Vita ever did.
Yeah, I see. I saw somebody say that Stefan saying that Sony might wipe the floor with Nintendo if this handheld is true. I don't think so, because Nintendo has Pokemon. That's one of the biggest things. They have Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. Their endless vault of franchises and IPs. It's so hard to match that. But they don't need to beat Nintendo with just their handheld. This would be Sony going, oh, we have this 2-tier approach, and we're able to kind of hit all of our bases if we can here. And then they also have. I think they'll continue to build out their streaming stuff too. I don't think that's just going to stop, right? So they'll have all these different lanes to connect to consumers. And like I assume they'll get streaming to the point where maybe if you buy one of their TVs, it's built in. Maybe they'll start giving people dual senses or something with the TVs. I don't know, but like I think that'll eventually become a thing for that. Like they're looking to expand quite a bit overall. And the handheld market is. I know the PC handheld is like, it's not as big as people necessarily say it is. I still think it's pretty impressive that Valve just kind of like, we feel like making a handheld. And I think they have done the best job with Steam Deck because they haven't gone, hey, the Steam Deck is $1,100. It's like, whoa. Have you seen some of these PC handhelds show up? And they're like, oh, it's more than $1,000. Like, why would I buy the Steam Deck? I can get refurbished for $300. Why wouldn't I just buy that? Like, it's look at all this cool stuff it can do with the Lenovo Legion Go or whatever. It turns into a mouse. It's like, all right, it's still 3 times as much or something.
Well, it seems like Valve's taken that very calculated approach too, of like, we're not doing that Gen 2 version until it like makes sense. Yeah.
You wait until there's a legitimate leap in terms of AMD, really. There's hanging out waiting. They need memory bandwidth to increase. There's a lot of stuff, hurdles that they need to clear for that. A lot of speed bumps along the way. I think they will, they'll figure it out. AMD and Valve will, but they're also the ones who get in communication with Valve, and they actually create a new chip alongside of them. And that's what they did with the Steam Deck. So they have some very impressive engineers at Valve as well. And they're private companies. So they can just kind of do stuff like this. I don't say for fun, but just to test the market. And we get the Steam Deck out of it, which is really cool. Because before that, they tried some things. The Steam machine is like, I would love to see now Sony enter handheld market. I'd love to see then Valve enter the console market. Kind of like them both pass each other sort of to each destination, I think that'd be really cool. And I just like to see the competition in the marketplace. Sony, I think with the Vita brought a lot to the table. And unfortunately that system did not work out for them, even though let's all be real here. You pick up a Vita now. And if I gave somebody a Vita, never used it before, and I said, yeah, it came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I think they believe me.
I mean, because the Vita was really impressive for its time. Golden Abyss still looks like really, really good.
I mean, I'd be in good condition, obviously. It can be like, oh, you can tell it's 11 years or 13 years of wear or whatever on it. But if I give you,
the semantics of a pre-owned Vita. Yes. Yeah, sure, John.
But if I give you like the OLED day one Vita from 2011, like here, this came out a couple of years ago. They're like, oh, wow, an OLED screen. It's got Bluetooth built in, Wi-Fi. That's weird. AT&T 3G, but everything else looks pretty good. It would be, but like it's touch screen, back touch for some reason. It's got a lot going on. It pushed a lot of boundaries for the handheld space, and it went right up against the glass to where you had those big experiences on the go, but it couldn't quite break through because the technology just was not there yet. Whereas the Switch comes in, kind of picks up the ball and runs with it. Because the technology just got there with the X1.
I mean, well, I think pound for pound, the Vita had a marketplace problem. It's just the wrong time to do a Vita.
Yeah. Also, they had to split their studios.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just like, you can't tie up studios because it was a different dev environment. Like that's the beauty of this thing, is that it wouldn't necessarily be the kind of constraint that one would think it is, because you can log in and it doesn't have a software problem. When you can download every PS4 and 5 game and it launches on this thing, there is no software problem. At that point, it's simply consumer preference. How do you want to play your PlayStation games from now on? It's all these companies are trying to just buy your time at this point. It's obviously ecosystem based and platform based, but that's also why they're so open with shipping games everywhere, because they just want your time, and your time also equals money. But that's like part of why, like, as far as lifetime sales go, there's not even like pressure for this thing could be another Vita. And actually Sony's okay with that because it doesn't have the pressure to deliver whatever amount that it needs to deliver. I would think that by the time this and PS6 comes out, I wouldn't be shocked if Sony doesn't even like break down lifetime sales between the two. They just lump them together. Install base of this, these two systems is at whatever number, and it's going to sound pretty impressive because the handheld's like bolstering it,
I think, I think the idea of this having access to PS4 and PS5 day one, that entire library, is a very intriguing offer to where people go, oh, wow, that's because we still wonder about the Switch 2 third-party support currently. And the backwards compatibility is great with the Switch, but even that clearly missed out on third-party support, where Sony gets the vast majority, if not just about all of it, to where that is a massive library. And think about somebody who comes back to PlayStation because they have this handheld, they're like, oh, that's really cool. I'll go back to it. We all figure it's going to be digital only, but I assume so. I don't think they're gonna play around with a cartridge of some kind, nothing like that. Like it's digital, that's just kind of the way it is. But coming back to it, and you go, okay, this plays all the PS4 and PS5. Oh, I just get PlayStation Plus extra premium, and boom, massive library of games. I can now they're kind of in the ecosystem, and Sony has them for a subscription service. And like I think the business angle that they would be pursuing, I think the math adds up. I think it makes sense for them. So
Yeah.
To me, this is good news. The fact that we get these kind of specs again from, I'd say, a more reliable source for Sony stuff than anything else, because Sony themselves have shown us that they will go and strike this information that they've had unless they retype it into a new slide without any potential markings or copyright info from developer backend stuff. So to me, this is exciting all the way around. A Sony handheld, I think would be great to have to put alongside of Nintendo to maybe get them going, oh, Sony is back in the handheld scene. And one other thing, Ryan, I think this PlayStation
John, I didn't hear a word you said. No.
How about now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. I said I think the PlayStation 6 portable would see a bit of a revival in Japan for Sony's brand with gaming.
Yes.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah, for sure.
I said just a little bit more of a roundabout.
Here's my question to you, John. Because this is stirring the pot a little bit, right? Does Sony mandate developer support for PlayStation 6 onward? So if you ship a PlayStation 6 game, do you have to make sure that you are supporting this handheld? Which some are proposing the idea of, oh God, are we walking into a Series S situation on PlayStation?
So
you kind of have to mandate support, right? But also, does that create an issue?
I think it'll be on Sony. I think it'll be on Sony's end to make sure that it's very seamless for the developers. But here's the thing: people looked at the specs for the idea of it's gonna be half as powerful as the PS5, right? It's 0.5x or something rasterization. We just got done talking about all this machine learning work that they're doing right now for upscaling, and we're talking about the system. What resolution do you think they're going to ship the system with for the screen?
Oh, it's 1080.
1080p. That's what their target is. And you know what? Maybe they target 900p, and they're like, we'll use machine learning for the most part to get it upscale. They may even do 720, but we'll upscale it 1080p. So I think people are reading into just the brute force of this system, the handheld, a little too much, because a lot of people started to do that with the Switch 2, and now they're being kind of surprised by what the system's able to do. And it's like, yes, because when they build these systems from the ground up with a certain resolution in mind, or you see that they're able to squeeze a ton out of the hardware. It's not like this PC gaming handheld kind of all-purpose device with the chipset in there and as much memory bandwidth as they can. They can do stuff and to get more out of it, and I think target a better battery life. Like the way that it was kind of being described here, I think this might be a legitimate portable device. Like I don't think it's gonna have Joy-Cons or whatever their version of that is. I think it should be a one-piece device, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a 3 or 4 hour battery life on that thing. Still a lot of variables we need to see, but just kind of what's being described, the amount of power that's being at least guessed at for what it's going to pull. I think it'll be something that won't feel like, oh wow, this is that console in like a handheld form that's going to get 2 hours if I'm turning the brightness down. No, I think it'll go for a 3 or 4 hour battery life.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree. I think that's the disconnect here, is that you've got a system that's going to be targeting like 4K 120 for probably a lot of games, or like very intense 4K 60 ray tracing on type of experiences. And then this thing is going to be, internal res for like a lot of games will target even as low as 640p or something insane. If the ML is like really good and really impressive, you've got like a 8 something times frame difference or frame budget between what the portable is expecting and what this thing's PS6 is expecting. Jesus Christ. So I think there's headroom. I don't think this is a problem necessarily. I mean, I'd always like play the devil's advocate for like the Series S, just in the sense that, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of developers like have aired out grievances with Series S. It always came down to like a memory budget, and that's still far and few between as far as like the type of experiences, the scope and size of certain games. Like, does it happen occasionally when some studio comes up and says this thing's a huge pain in the ass? Absolutely. Would we see that for the handheld and PS6? Maybe, but there's always going to be bottlenecks somewhere. I think there's a ceiling on just the amount of studios that can even like push PS6. I think what, like 99% of games that are going to run and play on this thing are probably going to be just A-okay.
Well, the Switch 2 has 12 gigabytes of RAM. I would assume this handheld, when it comes out in a couple of years, probably have at least 16. And let's face it, the PS5 cross-gen period is probably going to be longer than the PS4 cross-gen period.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll probably have the PS5 in 2034, 2035, still kind of rolling along getting games.
Yeah. I would think it's not going to be that much of an issue.
I mean, it's not going to. My question, though, Ryan, is the video out thing. I don't know if that's going to be a great experience, to be honest, with some of these more demanding games. It's interesting, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I think it'd be like very similar to like when, the easiest parallel here is the PSP's video out. I don't think those games look all that great when you put them out to a TV, but yeah, you could do it. There's a novelty to it.
Still had to like hold the I remember still just holding the PSP and be like, this is incredible. Like this 480 thing blown up to this. I had like one of those big old projection screens. Remember those things?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I think people would welcome that utility versus not having it.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than nothing because they're gonna be like indie games and stuff that probably do look decent. Are pretty good.
Yeah. For sure.
On screen or backwards compatible games. PS4 games might look really good.
Price. What do we think for price?
I kind of feel like it might match the system.
Yeah, like just straight up, you hit like either get your console or the handheld.
Yeah, it might be 6 and 6.
6 and 6. Oh, that's
600, 600.
That is steep for a handheld.
I know. I'd like to see him hit 500, but I'll be real, Ryan. We might see the Switch 2 go up to 500 before.
Why? That's the other context, is that the Switch 2 itself might not stay $450 for a while. So.
Yeah,
think about
prices don't go down anymore. Prices don't go down.
Yeah, you're right.
600.
In my head, I'm like 500 and 600 sounds like really nice for these, but I think I'm being a little bit hopeful with the handheld.
Start saving now.